Ohio falls under the moderate range for state goals, according to the U.S. EPA. Can we expand on what that means broadly and how the U.S. EPA expects states to meet that?
Well, that's an excellent question. U.S. EPA expects to reduce all carbon-based generation of electricity through between 2022 and 2030. Their emphasis is on a dramatic expansion in renewable-based power generation as well as energy efficiency. And at the same time, they want to maximize existing generation from natural gas, and they expect to ultimately reduce coal-based generation pretty significantly.
Now, a lot of states have sort of began to fight this, and Ohio is one of them. You guys are among a number of states that have petitioned for a stay of implementation of the Clean Power Plan, and there's now a lawsuit that involves 20-plus states that are fighting that. What are the state's biggest concerns right now with the Clean Power Plan as it stands?
Well, ironically, just a couple days ago, Ohio joined 24 other states. You're exactly correct. We filed a petition with the D.C. Circuit Court. We filed a petition for review and expedited consideration, and that is due to the irreparable and immediate harm that states are experiencing as a result of this rule. The Clean Power Plan is a very large resource drain on individual states. Every state that I've spoken with is dedicating a lot of personnel and resources to doing the analysis of the proposed rule, analysis of the final rule, the analysis of the federal implementation plan, and at the same time beginning to reach out to stakeholders and interested parties. It's a heavy lift.
How do we anticipate Ohio's energy portfolios evolving over the next several years?
In Ohio, over the past several years, we're somewhere around 60% coal-based generation of electricity, 25 to 30% generation from natural gas, and around 15 to 20% from nuclear power. Renewables are a small portion of beyond that. Since 2005, we've already experienced a dramatic shutdown in coal-based capacity. We've seen a 30% reduction between 2005 and 2014 as a result of other federal regulations, including the mercury intertoxics rule. And that's been seen across the country. As we look to the future, it's very difficult to see what the ultimate impact of this rule is going to be. In Ohio, we do not pick winners and losers. We believe that a broad energy portfolio is necessary to keep cost and reliability where it needs to be to foster affordable power for our citizens as well as a strong manufacturing base in the state.
Well, the attention around this nationally is focused a lot on coal-powered plants, but you guys also have some existing nuclear plants, correct?
Yes.
How does this affect them so far as we know?
Well, this rule has largely left existing nuclear power untouched. There will certainly be impacts from changes in electricity prices, but we really don't know what those impacts are going to be. And as I mentioned, in Ohio, we have 2 nuclear plants that provide 15 to 20% baseload power.
Stepping back a little bit, there's obviously a lot of uncertainty about how this rule will affect the states. Will it have any net effects on constituents, on the citizens of Ohio at large, or is that too early to tell still?
Well, ironically, as an environmental organization, cost and reliability of power is not usually something that we concentrate on. However, we're collaborating very extensively with our Public Utilities Commission, who does handle reliability and cost of power. And that is the overriding part of our analysis at this point in time, is what the ultimate impact on residential cost to consumer prices are going to be, as well as what the impact on the manufacturing base is going to be.
In those communication processes with other states, are they in the same boat in terms of just getting their heads around this at the moment?
Absolutely. This is a very large rule, and some states seem to be a little bit ahead of others, but as we continue our analysis, everybody seems to be coalescing around the same sorts of fundamental questions about how they're going to implement the rule within their respective state, or whether a trading-ready option is an appropriate path for them.
Can you talk a little bit more about some of those potential pathways to meeting this?
When US EPA released the final rule, they have 6 compliance pathways that they've laid out for states as potential options. So we're using that as our guide, and we have a couple other options that are available. But in each of those, EPA has been very descriptive in how those options would work. And the first sort of key decision that states need to make is whether they're going to pursue a rate-based goal or a mass-based goal. And the way they explain it is that if you're a mass-based state, you cannot trade with rate-based states. So as we collaborate with other surrounding states, with not only around Ohio but within the PJM region, is we want to make sure that we're all mindful of where everybody else is leaning as they continue their evaluation.
What kind of feedback have you been getting from industry on this?
So at the proposed stage, this rule was, again, 1,500 pages as a proposed rule. And we had an extensive outreach to interested parties across the state. We met with, our policy was never to turn anybody away from a meeting. So we met with lots of different entities, both non-government organizations as well as regulated entities, manufacturers, citizen groups. We met with anybody that was interested in not only figuring out what Ohio was doing or what our approach was going to be, but even organizations and entities that had a very distinct recommendation for us. So in addition to meetings, we had a very large stakeholder meeting at the proposed stage. As we look to the final rule, US EPA includes extensive outreach and engagement requirements as part of this rule. We are developing a very robust outreach and engagement plan in Ohio, where we intend to have a stakeholder kickoff meeting where we're inviting anybody and everybody that wants to meet. We're going to follow the same path of meeting with anybody that requests a meeting with us or a conference call, whichever is convenient for them. We will reach out to the four corners of the state and have regional listening sessions where we're accepting comments from folks. I'm sure we'll be taking other steps to reach out and engage with interested parties, both citizens, non-government organizations.
What's the flavor of the feedback been on that so far?
Well, so far, folks are still in the evaluation process of the rule. And so most folks are simply asking what our plans are for the future and how we're going to not only engage with stakeholders. Some folks have a vested interest in the approach the state takes, and they're explaining what they think we should do. But at this point, it's very preliminary, and if we are granted the extension request in September of 2016, our new deadline will be September of 2018. EPA has been very clear that they intend to provide those extra 2 years of planning for folks. So once we have that, we'll have a little bit of time, and that'll provide not only us time to evaluate the rule, but regulated entities and everybody else as well.
I think it's important to note on the ramification side, while this plays out nationally on the court stage, which could end up in the Supreme Court ultimately, states have to prepare for almost all eventual outcomes. So you guys are doing a huge amount of work trying to manage whatever will be the outcome on that.
Absolutely. We are taking a two-pronged approach. We are challenging the rule in court because we don't think it's legal, but at the same time we want to do our due diligence, and we want to do right by the citizens and manufacturing base of Ohio by figuring out what options we have available to us and really try to figure out what the best pathway for compliance is for Ohio. That may be the state submitting an implementation plan and going alone. It could be us collaborating with other states, and it could be that the federal implementation plan is the path that we want to pursue. But we want to be able to make a conscious decision what we think is best for Ohio.